All right, shalom and welcome everyone. Today we are going to go over the healing herb. This is a very, very good one. Descurainia, sophia. This is a very, very well studied herb. It's something that is very good for many people. I would suggest that you look this up for yourself and see all these health benefits. Now, a lot of people will say, hey, what's this got to do with the Bible and scriptures and this and that and the other? Well, I would recommend to you that it's got everything to do with the Bible and the scriptures and everything else, right? Because if we read our scriptures, it clearly tells us what to do. It clearly tells us what we should be eating. It clearly tells us what we should be doing, right? Healing herbs, the balm in Gilead, heal yourself, physician. I think these are scriptures that we can clearly see that go into what we're doing here. I think these are scriptures that clearly tell us of what we should be doing and what we should be looking at and what we should be reading and how we should be doing this, right? So let's go on and see what it says here. Again, I would suggest that you look this up for yourself because it would take probably 2 or 3 hours to go completely through all these, what it does, the components, the compounds, and what all it does for your body. So again, we're going to go over the main things that it can help with. It has the therapeutic effects showed in the effects of cancer lines, the lung, the liver, the prostate, the colon, the stomach, the ovary, the skin, and is considered the primary active cytotoxic consultant, right? So all we have here is a bunch of studies and a bunch of ways to figure out how this can help us, right? It's an anti-inflammatory effect, antioxidant effects. It has all the things that you need. Gastrointestinal tract regulation effects, bowel, smooth muscle regulation, enhanced bowel movement, stool softener. People pay all kinds of money to have these things and buy Mucilex and X-Lax and all these things, but a lot of times it doesn't help your body. It just makes you go to the bathroom, right? You just go potty. But the whole point of a lot of these are to help cure and help your body maintain it or do what it's supposed to do. Many studies has addressed the effect of the DS in cancer, respiratory system, gastrointestinal system, and the inflammatory disease. As evidence of pharmacological activity of the DS increases, clinical uses for DS are likely to increase. Now, when I say DS, I'm talking about this herb, the Descurainia sophia, right? It's a flower. You can use the flower, you can use the root, but look it up, please, and find out if it can help you out. Despite advances in clinical medicine, the prevalence of cancer continues to rise and the disease remains the leading cause of death. Mutations in regular genes involved in maintaining the balance between cell proliferation and cell death lead to a rapid cell growth, cell division, and invasion. Conventional treatments of cancer, such as chemotherapies or radiotherapies, lack specifically targets, right? These therapies cannot distinguish between normal cells from cancer cells, thus causing great damage and death to both the normal and the cancer cells, resulting in significant adverse effects such as bone marrow suppression, fatigue, gastrointestinal complications, throwing up, gas, belching, all these things, loss of appetite, body weight loss. When you lose your appetite, you don't want to eat. A lot of times, if you're throwing up and going to the bathroom, you can't eat, you don't want to eat, right? And often insignificant negative effects on the health related quality of life. In addition, such side effects may limit treatment programs and hence may affect the prognosis for patients. So again, if you go and you do this for 3 treatments and then your blood dramatically drops, your hemoglobin drops, your white blood cells, all these things to where you can't have your next treatment, then you can have a problem. Why are we talking about that when we're talking about the herb? Because the herb can even be mixed with this to help you get rid of these things. And it can also be a substitute, especially if you're in between these things, right? So we're not PhDs. We're not diagnosing anybody. We're not curing anybody other than prayer and miracles through Yahweh. But at the same time, He has given us these things. And I would submit to you, they make those things out of something, right? It's funny that you can't find what this chemotherapy is made out of. How come that's not on the back like ingredients of a cereal box? If it's that important, then shouldn't it be there? Why do we not demand these things? Why do we not know these things? So I think we should know what it is, what it comes from, and how to produce it if we need to or have to. Many studies show that the DS possesses prominent cytotoxic activity against a number of human cancer cell lines such as lung, liver, colon, prostate, ovary, skin, and stomach. Again, what we've seen on top of there. It is therefore offers an option for use in the cancer therapy. There are several consultants isolated from the DS showed the cytotoxic effects on the cancer cell lines. It has been considered as the main active cytotoxic constant of the DS. So it shows us these are studies that have been used. Now, with each thing, you have to do your study. You have to know what is wrong with you and what's going on and pray and be smart about it, right? Each thing is different. It's just like each car, each tire, each rim size can be different. You don't put a Ford rim on a Chevy. It just don't work. Why? Because they made it that way. Now, some of these things here is the same thing. But we know, and knowledge is power, right? Tumor necrosis factor, TNF, related to apoptosis, including lignin, a member of the TNF superfamily, can selectively induce cancer cell apoptosis through the death receptor. So all that is a fancy word for saying cell death, right? You're trying to get your cells to die, believe it or not, the way they should die. That's the whole problem with most cancer, is your cells don't die the way they should die. And therefore they keep growing and they bring tumors and these things up. So that's where most of these tumor cells pose a threat and a problem. Because if they would just die like they're supposed to, then new cells would replace them. But when they keep growing and they come to a part that's not good for your body and useless for your body, and then a pathogen or a toxic or a killer cell to your body, right? So this pathway recruits the fast related death domain proteins and activate the Cosmos pathway. Some cancer cells are highly malignant due to their resistance to trial-induced programmed cell death. So we all know probably what we're talking about here, right? Now, that ain't asthmic effects. Asthma is a multiple function disease determined by multiple factors such as genetic, magnetic, and environmental. If you're breathing in car fumes, city fumes, plant fumes, obviously it can hurt your lungs and cause problems, right? So this is another one that can help that. Anti-tissue effects. A study demonstrated that the DS could prolong the latent period of the cough, increasing it by 23.1%. In ammonia liquor spray induced common mice. DS could also decrease cough frequency, decreasing by 15.7%. In pheno red intertenal injected mice, thus proving the anti-tissue activities of the DS. So again, it's in living things. Now, we're not going to even go into all that, but if we have tests on humans, if we have tests on animals, then obviously we know and we have proof this works, right? The anti-inflammatory antitoxin effects of DS were assessed in many experimental studies. Many, folks. The problem is we have a lot of people that just go with the doctor, that go with what so-and-so says, or they follow the same program, knowing these people, how many out of how many, don't do any better, right? The people that do colon cancer and get colon cancer and follow the same program of colon cancer, how many? 50%, 60%? How many of them live over 20 years? We have to change our way of eating. We have to change our diet. And we sure have to change talking to our Creator, Yahweh. We have to pray. We have to fast. We have to give everything to Him. And then we understand what He says and why He put these things here. There's no wow moment with Yahweh. There's no wow moment of, leukemia, lymphoma, colon cancer, breast cancer, prostate cancer, lung cancer, brain tumors. This is not a wow moment. He knew, He sees, He knows all. But amazingly, we have these things here that are of little to no cost, if you will, according to the mainstream things. There's people that cannot afford some of these things, right? And I'm not saying don't go do chemo, radiation, any of that. I'm saying you do what's best for you and your body. I pray that you are healed and you don't need anything, but you, no matter what, I don't care if you're healthy, if you're not following the menu of the Bible, if you're not following what Yahweh has designed us to eat and what He has designed us to partake of and not partake of, you're on a doomsday course. You're on a railroad track, and it's just an eventual thing that's eventually going to happen, right? You study pork meat, it stays in your body 40 years. It's more amazing to me watching and seeing all this. It's more amazing everybody ain't sick and dead before they're 40, 45, 50 years old. I'm talking to every living person, from what we eat to what we do to what we drink. So you talk about mercy and grace and Him and what He has created. If you go to some of these other countries, this is poison. It's illegal to eat what we eat. It's illegal to have our additives. Look it up. I'm not saying nothing new. I'm not coming up with some new thing. This is facts, right? So let's go on. The effects of cancer cells. And again, look all this up yourself. Do your intense studies and see if this can help you with anything that you or your family or someone else is having. Anti-asthma effects. There's charts, there's things right here. Now again, you also have to look at this as a medicine. It is a herb and it's considered a medicine thing, right? A lot of these things that do these, that help the body out, you can't take 5 teaspoons of it. You can't take it and expect it to cure you overnight. You have to go easy and let it do what it's supposed to do. I give you the mushroom thing, right? The wrong mushrooms will kill you. The wrong ones, you eat the wrong ones, and they will poison your body. So people say, well, I can eat anything, and I do this and all that. We have to use everything wisely. My people were destroyed for a lack of knowledge. Activity in the gastro. Activity in the cardiac diseases. AT-phase is a target for the treatment for anthemia, and I'm probably just butchering these words, and congestive heart failure, CHF, cardiac glycosylations, cosides have been used to treat heart failure and arrhythmia for many years. Many years, folks. This is not me just throwing things out here. These are studies. These are Chinese medicine, Japanese medicine. People have used these for years to help multiple things. One previous study suggested that DS could significantly increase the urinary output in the chronic heart failure of rats based on the manifestation of the diuretic effect resulted from the inhalation of renal tubular to reabsorb the water, sodium, and chloride. It showed that the DS could decrease the pleural effusion and pulmonary edema in critical ill patients. Another study reported that the DS could improve remodeling and cardiac function in chronic heart failure. I mean, this is something that we should study. This is something that we should know. Again, you got all this to go over yourself, all this to look into, all these things to dive into and see what it is. It is considered to be safe and effective herb and is commonly used in culinary and alternative medicine. In this review, we provided information suggesting that DS might be effective in cancer, respiratory diseases, gastrological diseases, cardiac diseases, and other conditions. DS is rich in pharmacological consultants that could be used or developed further as therapeutic agents. While there have been many studies addressing DS mechanisms of actions, well-designed clinical trials need to be conducted to prove it is clinically beneficial. This is what we always get, right? We need more trials. We need more studies. We need more of this. We need more of that. We need more healthy people. That's what we need, right? We need more people to be healthy. We need more people to try this. We need more people to read their scriptures. We need more people to come join us on Sabbath. We need all kinds of different things. But the main thing is what we need is for people to join in and study the scriptures, to pray and understand what's going on, right? If we don't study the scriptures, if we don't study what's before us, then we have a problem. And that's where these healing herbs come in very, very potent. They come in very, very important, I believe. This little bag is probably worth more than gold to some people, right? Worth more than gold. If you don't believe that, go to the hospital and ask people, if this would cure you, what would it be worth? And they would probably give you everything they own, especially if they thought that was it. Especially if they thought that was their last breath. And even people with asthma and things of that nature, some of them want to take their life. They get tired of living, fighting to breathe. For a lot of people, we don't know, we don't understand, we don't get it, right? For a lot of people, we just don't even care to take the time to understand it. Because why? Because it really don't pertain that much to us, or so we think. Until we get old and we get sick and we get problems, and then it's a big deal. But we see clearly in scriptures that Yahweh says, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. He says that we ask not and we receive not. We don't even know how to ask. How do we pray if we don't know what we're talking about? You see what I'm saying? If we don't know what we're saying, if we don't know what we're talking about, then how do we know what we're talking about? So if we don't know the healing herbs, if we don't know how to make the balm of Gilead, if we don't know more than physicians, we're kind of at the mercy of them, right? It's amazing to me that we have all these things. You can pick up your phone, you can say, hey, Google, and you can do all this stuff. And in seconds and minutes, in 30 minutes, you can probably go through, I don't know how many different of these herbs. You can probably go through, at least 10? or 20, and you might just be touching what they do, but you can go through that many. So if you have foot fungus, foot ailment, foot this, aches, cramps, pains, whatever it is, the things that we just read off, this could help you. And it could help your body. And a lot of these are made to cure things, to help your body do what it needs to do, right? I believe the Creator made these to help us to be what we was created to be, right? A lot of times if we're not careful, we get in trouble because we don't obey. He says what? Obedience is better than sacrifice. So many times we have problems because our body and our scriptures and our life does what? What happens? Well, we look into the doctor told me this, so we believe him. It's amazing. We'll go to an assembly for 40 years and we believe that, or so we told. And then we go to somewhere else and someone tells us something. We don't even get a second opinion. We just take the pills they give us. Oh, you got high blood pressure. Oh, you got diabetes. Oh, you got this. Oh, you got that. And most people don't do anything to take away from it. They don't do anything to fix themselves. Why? You don't drive around with a flat tire forever. You don't roll around with smoke coming out of your car forever. You check the oil, you put more oil in it. You change your tire. If your seat falls out, you don't just drive upside down and say, oh, well, we fix things. So why is it so far-fetched for us to fix ourselves? Why is it so far-fetched? In the last couple hundred years, everything has changed drastically, and a lot of times not even in the right direction. Yahweh, Yeshua, and now we have Jesus and Sunday church, right? If we go back to the old ways, if we go back to the ancient ways, if we go back to what we should have, I would submit to you, we would have more power, we would have more health, we would have more things that we had like we had in the garden. We don't see these things until late on in life, right? We don't see, and I'm talking in scripture, we don't see a lot of kids being sick. We don't see a lot of people having problems. We don't see people dying early. Oh, we're told that men lasted 40 years old and men lasted 60 years old and men lasted this and we're living the longest lives ever. If that ain't a lie, because Methuselah, Noah, it's amazing. People, I'm 60 years old. I've lived a good life. I've really done good. I'm really blessed. I'm 80 years old or I'm 90 years old. And we look at what they did and how many years they lived. We don't hear them being sick. We don't hear them complaining. We actually have scripture saying that a man in his 80s, I believe 86, in his 80s was ready for war. Now that's saying something. Where most people in that age group are not ready to drive their car. They're not ready to go outside. They're afraid to breathe air. They're afraid of, I'm saying that they're just so many things. But a lot of that is because they didn't take care of the body. Again, you don't change your tires, you're probably going to have bald tires and eventually they're going to pop or go flat. I don't know how religion and health don't go into the same boat, right? We read the Bible, we understand the Bible, or so we think, and yet we don't understand we're wearing out our bodies. We're putting things in our body. We're putting things on our body. Our shampoos. our soap, our drinks, our, things that we love because they tell us to love Pepsi. So we go and buy Pepsi and we drink it. Or no, I hate Pepsi, I love Coke. Or no, I love Pepsi, I hate Coke. And we're in this continuous commercial mode that we're doing more commercial things than we are what Yahweh intended us. And in between all that, we're more worried about what Nike shoes we're wearing, or what things we got on, or how we look, or what our house looks like, or what car we're driving, than the homeless people, the lost people, the ones that are looking, calling, praying for Yahweh's healing. And then what do we want to do? We want to baby everybody until they're 100. But we go to the lost, we help, we heal, we touch them, we give them the truth, and then we move on to the next one. And then we move on to the next one. And then we move on to the next one. And that might be 40 years. That might be a whole lifetime right there. Because the lost, remember he said he'll leave the 99 for the one. But do we want to do that? So with all that being said, folks, please come and join us. We have the Healing Herbs on Friday nights at 7 Central, 8 Eastern on the Zoom channel. We have Sabbath services. You can come and join us and learn about these things, learn about the many, many blessings that Yahweh has set before us. So until next time, may Yahweh bless you, may his countenance shine upon you, and may he grant you shalom. Please come and join us. Please learn how to help heal your body, how to help heal other people's bodies, and how to draw closer to the Creator Yahweh. Because I believe the closer we draw to him, the closer we are like him. And the closer we are like him, the more sickness, ailments, problems, aggravations, and all these go to the wayside. Because he tells us not to be what? Anxious for anything. That's a lifestyle. That's not just a saying. That's not a nice quota. That's not a nice, ooh, I can say that. To live that is really something else, folks. To get to that point and to stay at that point. We might stay there for an hour. We might be there for a day. We might even last for a week. But woe when woe comes, and woe when this happens, right? So again, shalom. Yahweh bless you. Thank you for listening and watching. Have a great and wonderful day.